Everybody knows of the official success of PharmEasy's since 2015. Nobody knows of the failure from 2012 to 2015 that I had to endure. My father took personal loans and mortgaged my house and gave me the money. For 6 months in my life, I was worried that we will lose the home that we were staying in. The implicit trust that we have has actually allowed us to come this far. Thyrocare is an outstanding asset, and we're just glad that we are now the custodians of that asset.
Hello, I am Kriti Bhalla and welcome to Business Insiders Hangout. Today we have with us PharmEasy's founder Siddharth Shah, who's going to share insights from their long journey and give us a glimpse of how it is to run $1 billion startup. So Siddharth, tell us, how did you get into this segment in the first place?
We've been friends for a very long period of time, very, very long period of time. Dharmil and I have known each other since junior KG. We sat on the same bench. We were adjacent roll numbers. From junior KG till 10th standard. So 12 saal we were on the same bench. Then Dhaval, who's my second co-founder. Dhaval and I were friends in junior college, 11th and 12th, adjacent roll numbers. Uske baad, Hardik and Harsh are my friends from engineering. So I have the great fortune of getting all of my friends, school ka friend, junior college ka dost, engineering ka dost to come and work with me. We all know each other since way too long, way too long. The implicit trust that we have on each other is very, very high. There is no double guessing. There is no second guessing. तो अगर धर्मिल बोल रहा है कि वो ये कर रहा है तो वो कर रहा है नहीं, फुल अथॉरिटी. नोबडी विल गो एंड आस्क कि तूने ऐसा क्यों नहीं किया, और अगर भगवान ना करे गलत चल गया तो नोबडी विल से कि तूने अच्छा नहीं किया, बिकॉज़ वी विल से यार मैं भी वही करता जो उसने किया, या वाइस वर्सा, इफ आई टेक अ डिसीजन इट इज टेकन, राइट? सो आई थिंक दैट the implicit trust that we have has actually allowed us to come this far, right? And that, in my view, is actually the real reason for success. And number two, I would say genuinely the Guju thing. Again, it may seem very, very cliched, but we come from families where our families have given up everything for us to be successful, right? My father sold one hospital, mortgaged the shares in the other hospital, mortgaged my home to give me the money to start this business. I don't know if I will even give away 50% of my net worth to my next generation to start something. I'll say, boss, khud ka khud karo. My parents gambled on 95% of their net worth for my success. This can only happen in a family like ours. That also gives you a large sense of responsibility. You are not relying on somebody else's money to become successful. Agar doob gaye to family ko le dooboge, right? So that sense of responsibility comes in very early. And that sense of ownership is also there.
So Siddharth, do you think that having a close-knit circle, both professionally and personally, is the key to success for any business?
I will go one step ahead. Without that, you will fail. This is a journey which is high risk, high reward. By definition, there will be areas where you will fail. Unless you have a very strong emotional circle, either personally or professionally, and you have people that can relate to you, it is very difficult to get out of this without being mentally scarred, right? आप professionally तो फिर भी शायद एक बार जीत जाओगे, but you will not be happy. To be happy and successful, it's impossible to do that without a strong circle.
So Siddharth, why don't you tell us, over the years, have there been any times when you just thought that, of giving up, bas ab nahi ho raha hai? What did you do in that scenario?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think no shame in admitting that. So see, the journey started in 2012, okay, and the backstory is कि कभी पढ़ाई करनी नहीं थी मुझे लाइफ में, मुझे तो गाड़ी चलानी थी, right? So the only thing which I would do is work hard so that my mom would buy me a new Hot Wheels toy every week, and for 10 years she did that, right? So I had 600 Hot Wheels ki cars by the time I was old enough to start driving, and I started driving also relatively when I was young. When I was in the 6th grade, I used to do go-karting. And I became a national karting champion for 3 years. And Dharmil was again my partner in crime in my karting also. So I was going to actually give up academics and pursue a full-time career in motorsports. And I, like I said, national karting championship for 3 years in a row. But at the age of 16, I had a car crash and my karting career was over. So I said, abhi to padhai karna padega. So out of compulsion, I became an engineer. Ki aur kuch to doctor to banna nahi tha, because parents are doctors. Wife was that time girlfriend wanted to become a doctor. I said, ye to apne se hoga nahi. So I became an engineer. I was lucky I got into IMA in my first attempt. So I was just 21 when I got into IMA. At 22, I worked with Goldman Sachs in the investment banking team. Realized कि job अब तो अपने से होना नहीं है, and decided कि यार let's go ahead and do something by yourself. Legendary professor like I am Ahmedabad mein called Anil Gupta, right? Who is like the father of fruit innovation in the country. So he, उनका एक course है on entrepreneurship, and he insisted कि बाकी सब लोग तो will become an entrepreneur on paper, right? They'll do a project, do a business plan, and then walk away. But you should do this very, very sincerely. And he insisted that I incorporate a company while I was on campus for whatever idea I had. The idea that I had was to start India's first online pharmacy in 2012. And that is how the journey actually started. So everybody knows of the official success of PharmEasy's since 2015. Nobody knows of the failure from 2012 to 2015 that I had to endure. Then first Hardik joined me. Few months later, Harsh joined me. Couple of years later, Dharmil joined me. And then a few months later, Dhaval joined me. But that phase of dial health that we started was one where we had lots of failures, right? Because we were overconfident. We thought everything can happen with demand. There is no need for supply. We were arrogant. कि हमारे पास ये fancy degrees है. We failed. But I think we were humble enough to learn from the failure and continue to go ahead. But at every failure, you obviously question, should I continue this or not continue this? And at that time, the person that ensured that I continue were actually my parents.
Wow, that was very insightful. So, Siddharth, why don't you tell us, that over these years, like, what are those milestones you have hit that you're proud of? Something where you've hit the mark for yourself personally. It doesn't have to be funding or anything, but something that you will, that has inspired you, or like something that is going to stick on to you.
I'll tell you, for me, there were 3 things that hit the mark, if you would ask me. The first thing that actually hit the mark is actually when we launched PharmEasy. Okay. Because like I said, the journey of PharmEasy is incomplete without understanding the journey of dial health. It is the same company that got renamed, remetamorphized, new partners, new things, so on and so forth. Right. We started dialhealth.com and that failed. Then we started Dial Health retail stores and that also failed. Right. Then we started Ascent Health, which was a distribution entity. When we relaunched Dial Health as PharmEasy, the first 10 days, on the 10th day, we got 100 orders. And that we knew was an outstanding mark of success. And do you know why? Because every time before in Dial Health stores or dialhealth.com, and you would also face this, right? The doctor writes a prescription. You go with names of 10 medicines. The chemist will tell you, मेरे पास 5 है, 6 है, बाकी नहीं है. Right? या तो आप substitute कर लो, ये कर लो, वो कर लो. And now it is not his fault because there are 2 lakh medicines in the market and average chemist store is 300 से 400 foot and he will not have more than 3 to 4,000 products. It's not his fault, right? But Dial Health से PharmEasy जब हम गए, we had created a backend and we knew that all the orders that we were doing, we had a 96% plus fill rate. We used to go and deliver it ourselves on bikes in our cars. But on the 10th day, we got 100 orders and then we realized, boss, now we are onto something big. Right? That was the first moment or the first milestone when I thought that we did something. The second milestone, which I think is the most emotionally heart-wrenching milestone for me, right, was the day when we actually signed the deal with Everstone and the money came into the bank. Because there is also a history to this. In 2014, when our Ascent Health business, so Dial Health had failed, Ascent Health, our distribution business was doing very well. We had term sheets from 3 large venture capitalists and private equity people, right? We decided to go with one of them and decline the other 2, and I will not name names. That fund then, after signing the term sheet, did a diligence and for whatever reason decided that they could not go ahead with the transaction. In the interim, because we wanted to grow, like I said, my father took personal loans and mortgaged my house and gave me the money. कि यार business नहीं रुकना चाहिए, you continue, we are behind you, right? And that deal fell off. And for 6 months in my life, I was worried that we will lose the home that we were staying in because we had leveraged and put money, right? My deal with Everstone was signed on 10th of December 2015. My marriage was 14 December 2015. 3 days before my marriage, it got signed. My wife still curses me that I was signing the counterparties to the agreement between my marriage and reception. And she was getting ready, I was signing agreements because they said, boss, honeymoon pe jao, usse pehle kar do. On our honeymoon, we got a CP completion notice. And finally, money came in my account, I distinctly remember, on 31st March 2016, right? And that is the day I actually cried a lot because I was really worried till then that I would have lost my father's 50 years plus of mehnat and I would have lost my home. And that day when the money came and the loan of my father was repaid was in my mind the second time, right? Because that was a validation not for me, but the courage that my father had shown in making me successful, right? And I don't remember having cried in the last 15 years, but that day I remember I was crying for half an hour, right? Because it was just a sigh of relief. Ki boss, Papa ne puri zindagi mere piche laga diya. And you know, the greatest joy is when you stand true to what your parents have dreamt, right? And you realize their dreams, right? And I think the third time when I felt really, really, really great, right, is the time when we are doing this deal with Thyrocare. Because it is not just for me, it is a coming of age for every startup founder, that a person with big ambition, with big dreams, right, with good education, if he works hard, he can come, and a unicorn in India, a startup in India can acquire a listed asset also, right? And when again, same thing, when my parents and my co-founders, after we signed the deal, when they called, right, we almost had tears of joy. It is not about deal chota karo ya bada karo. It is just about the fact that, boss, you are saying ki now every person in India can dream. Aapko agar mehnat karne ko ready ho, acha plan hai, then sky is the limit. So I would say these are the three big things in my life for me, which are like the defining moments, and which are coincidentally, none of them are related to numbers or related to milestones. That is related to the emotion that you feel as an entrepreneur.
So Siddharth, now that you're talking about Thyrocare, our audience would really like to know that how does Thyrocare fit into PharmEasy's ecosystem?
See, we believe that fundamentally whatever we do has to complete the continuum of care from a patient's perspective. Right? And if you put yourself in the patient's shoes, right? And let's assume you're unwell. What do? The first thing you'll do is you'll try and seek information. Ki bhai, mujhe kya hua hai? Right? The next thing you will do is you'll go to a doctor. Doctor, please consult me. The third thing the doctor will do is tell you, please go and get these tests done. And basis your symptoms, diagnosis, findings, and test results, the doctor will give you a course of treatment that will have medicines, devices, OTC, lifestyle changes. We need somebody to ensure that all of these happen in a seamless manner. You don't have to run to somebody for medicine, somebody for devices, somebody for lifestyle, somebody for consultation, and somebody for test. So mind you, we are not trying to replace the doctor. The doctor will give the medical advice. But once it is given and you put the patient at the center of the whole ecosystem, everything that the patient wants could be and should be available at one click of a button or with one partner, whether you want it online or offline. Now, if you interpose the patient journey with what we built out a consultation layer that has the capacity today to do 3 lakh teleconsultations, or rather we are doing 3 lakh teleconsultations a month remotely. We have 6,000 digital clinics that see over 10 lakh patients a month. If you look at treatment, we have more than 12 million registered users and we have 17 million monthly active users. We also now have a network of 90,000 retailers with 3,000 manufacturers. We already have the technology that gives you the right information on what you need to do. The thing that was missing for us is the test element. In the last 1.5 years, through our pilots and acquisition of Medlife, we built out a credible diagnostics business. But what we required was something which would match the pace and scale of our ambitions. And Thyrocare fits in right there. Right? Thyrocare today is the largest lab in India in terms of volumes which is done. It has a network of 4,500 partners across the length and breadth of the country. 70% of India's population can get a diagnostic test done under 24 hours. So we think this now completes the entire continuum of care from a consumer's perspective, that anything that you want in outpatient healthcare, information, consultation, test or treatment, you want it online or you want it offline. You want the service to be delivered at home or you want to walk in. All of this is available now with one partner. And that I think is a very, very powerful thing for the Indian patient. Whether that patient is in an urban area, semi-urban area, rural area, it doesn't matter. You will get the same quality of outpatient affordable healthcare. Thyrocare is an outstanding asset, right? It takes genuinely a scientist like Dr. Velumani and 27 years to build an asset like that. And we're just glad that, we are now the custodians of that asset. And we are sure that we will build on its strengths and, make it the best, not just the leader in terms of volume, but leader in terms of value and most important leader in terms of customer experience. And that is what we are focused on.
So Siddharth, can you tell us how the structure of PharmEasy will look like after Thyrocare's acquisition?
So look, I think for Thyrocare, we've already acquired now 66% from Dr. Velumani, which is pending regulatory approval. We've given an open offer for the balance 26%. right? Depending on the open offer, our ownership in Thyrocare will be whatever, anywhere between 66 to 92%, right? So the idea is that, we will become the promoters of Thyrocare. And like I said, it's a epochal moment in Indian startup where a unicorn for the first time in India is acquiring or becoming a promoter of a listed entity of this scale and size. Uh, I think the focus right now is to continue to get all the consumer experiences fixed. I think there are lots of smart board members who have a lot of wisdom, and advisors will figure out what is the right corporate structure, right? Should we merge, demerge, dual listing, reverse listing, right? I think some of those things will figure out along the way.
So, like everyone knows that the Indian e-pharmacy segment, or so to say, Indian healthcare segment health tech segment has increased exponentially in the last 1 year. So, what sort of traction did PharmEasy see in this period of time?
So, I think what has happened is, I would say on all parameters, right? And let's take one by one. The number of doctors on our platform has grown more than 2x over the last 1 year. The number of consumers on our platform have grown more than 4x over the last 1 year. The number of retailers on our platform have grown by more than 3x over the last 1 year, right? Our own GMV has grown more than 3x over the last 1 year. Obviously, along the way, we put our B2B and B2C pieces together under API Holdings. Then we acquired Medlife. And now, obviously, with diagnostics under Thyrocare, we are going to do even better, right? So I would say that on all parameters, there has been a massive tailwind that has come through and a massive push in terms of our scale, right? And we believe that we're still just scratching the surface. We are still a very small part of the overall market. And we still think that there are lots of use cases of patients that we are yet to solve, which we will solve in times to come.
Okay, so like what compelled you to get into that merger with MedLife?
Look, I think there are times when things which are done for the right business reasons, there are times when things are done for the right strategic reason, and there are times when things are done for the right financial reasons. The great thing with Medlife is that it ticked all the three boxes. It was great strategically because it consolidated the leadership. It was great for business because with that scale, we were able to significantly reduce cost and improve customer experience. And obviously, it is great for numbers, right? Because when you put all of these three things together. So I would say that Medlife was a transformative deal for us because it actually led us to get an outstanding experience or an outstanding, I would say, appreciation on all the three fronts, right? It makes strategic sense, it made business sense, and it made financial sense.
Like, as we all know that the e-pharmacy segment specifically has changed a lot in last 1 year. There are so many new entries. So according to you, who's your biggest competition at this point?
We are competing in some ways with the scale of our own ambitions, right? Because today there are multiple players who are doing lots of great things in different parts. There are some players who are also trying to work at it in an integrated manner. There are also lots of horizontals that are coming into this space, right? The way we look at it is, think of yourselves 30 years back when India had massive economic liberalization, right? And the financial services sector was going to see a sunrise and a boom. And over the last 30 years, many behemoths have come in. There are more than 30 listed entities, and many more from last on more than 100 plus are still of a significant size and scale, right? And still people say that we are underpenetrated in terms of financial services and last mile delivery. I believe we are at that same inflection point vis-a-vis healthcare. Fortunately or unfortunately, COVID has had a massive change in the mindset of the Indian person. An average Indian now knows what is comorbidity. He knows the difference between a disease, which is like an illness for a short period of time, like malaria, typhoid, and a disorder, which is like diabetes, hypertension, blood pressure. People are focused now on health and wellness, not just curing the illness, right? All of this means that our focus on healthcare is going to transform dramatically over the next 20-30 years. Now take the second data point. The digital revolution in financial services happened over the last 10 years, right? And especially now with NPCI and UPI over the last 5 years, even more so, right? The world moved historically over the last 100 years from cash to check, check to card, and card to digital. India moved directly from cash to digital. That same movement from physical to digital is happening in healthcare as we speak. Your consultations with doctors are happening digitally. Your diagnostic tests are happening at home with reports coming in digitally. Your medical records are being stored digitally. As a consumer, you are buying products digitally. The retailers themselves are accepting payments digitally, working digitally with manufacturers. There is a massive role. So the growth that happened in financial services, like what people technically call secular growth for 30 years, that boom is going to happen in healthcare over the next 15-20 years, right? And I think there is enough and more room for us and others to continue to try and play a very large role in the market. And that is why I think what we have to do is a function of our skill and our ambitions, not a function of competition, right? Where horizontals can come and dominate the market, certain verticals can come and dominate the market, but we want to create our own space and continue to focus on what we are doing.
So what do you think, like, the e-pharmacy segment would look like in, let's say, the next 5 years?
So look, the way I look at it is next 5 years are the transformational years or the transformative years for healthcare, right? And let's pick each bucket, like I said, consultation. And in each bucket, there will actually be two further use cases, online or offline. And each of these use cases will have 2 points of dispensation, either at source or at home, right? And if you look at all of these, digitization is going to come and play a very, very pivotal role. Somebody will start by trying to digitize the clinic and the experience or the node between the consumer to the consultant. Somebody will try by starting digitizing the treatment experience, which is what we've done. And there are some which have started with diagnostics, right? And which is what we're going to try and digitize. I think different people are going to approach it in different directions. Ultimately, I think the people that will win are the ones that will provide the most superlative consumer experience. My belief is that your numbers are an output. Your numbers are not an input. The input is the kind of customer experience that you provide, right? I mean, people will come to Business Insider if you have great content, and the page views are a function of that. Page view, you cannot start with page views and say, okay, now I'll create content, right? So I think likewise, numbers and growth is of output. It is not the input. The input is outstanding customer experience and an integrated healthcare play.
Thank you so much, Siddharth, for joining us. It was a great session. Well, Siddharth is right. The Indian e-pharmacy segment is going to change a lot in the next couple of years. And we at Business Insider are definitely going to keep a tab on it and keep you posted about the updates. For now, stay connected with us on businessinsider.in, and thank you so much for watching us.